Morning.
At least I made you laugh.
It's Wednesday, September 6th, 2017. We're in the Center Hearing Room, 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem for our weekly Board of Commissioners meeting. We begin the meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance, so please join. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, again, thank you, welcome. We have one person signed up for an opportunity that we have every week, our public comment. David Beam, you've been here before. If you'd go ahead and come up and tell us what you'd like.
My name's David Beam. I'm an advocate for special needs population in Marion County. I'd like to see that we get more funding for the fires we've been having for Salem and Marion County funding for the ones that need it for families. But we don't need any burning in the Marion County because the smoke's hurting the little kids and the families. So I'm asking if we can get a little bit more money and keep the fires not burning in Marion County, county-wise, for Marion County. That's it, and I think we need to get it done as soon as possible.
And I just wanted to point out that David Beam was instrumental in passing a bill. What was the number of that bill? Do you remember? It was
108.
Uh-huh. And the governor is going to have a special ceremony for him, a signing ceremony for his bill.
Wonderful.
Got the letter a couple days ago.
And I like to see this Marion County pick up more funding for it, because some families can't get out, some of them are in wheelchairs, can't get out like a fire. So I was wondering if we can look at that for the next county commissioner funding for that, for next year, for that. That's it.
All right, thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
All right, next item is our consent calendar. Commissioner Cameron.
Mr. Chair, before the consent calendar, if that's appropriate, I'd like to make a motion to add to our agenda that we would add to the agenda under action, consider approval of a proclamation designating September 17th through the 23rd, 2017 as Constitution Week in Marion County.
I'll second that motion.
All right, it's moving second to add this item that we'll discuss a proclamation for September 17th, 23rd as Constitution Week. Any further discussion? Just this, we'll have a presentation in a little bit, and we'll move it as a first item under Board of Commissioners. So, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes. Good, thank you. All right, now, if you'd go ahead then.
So, Mr. Chair, under the consent calendar, I'll move the consent calendar. First, under business services, approve the recommendation to adjust pay grade upward for 3 classifications. Number 048, Deputy County Clerk 2. Number 636, Criminal Investigations Supervisor. And number 640, District Attorney Supervisor. Under Public Works, approve a contract for services with Auto Additions, Inc. for the provision and installation of equipment for setup of emergency services vehicles and maintenance of those systems for $1,500,000 through December 31st, 2022. Under the Sheriff's Office, approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Corrections for supplemental funds for treatment of drug addiction persons in the amount of $1,007,320 through June 30th, 2019.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as just presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. And now we will move on to that just added item under Board of Commissioners where we'll discuss a proclamation having to do with September 17th to 23rd as Constitution Week. I just got her names, and I should know it, but Louise Feskins, and I hope I did that right. I can't even read my own writing. And Louise, if you'd like to go ahead, and I apologize, somehow some paperwork for this issue didn't reach us, but I think we rallied and we're ready to act.
You guys are good. That's quite all right. It might have been me too. We're a social organization that promotes patriotism, education, and preserving our heritage. And we do all kinds of social work here within our community, serving veterans, serving the homeless veterans, and besides those that are in the homes, helping with literacy, and preserving areas that are needed. The Daughters of the Revolution is a great organization. You have to prove your lineage back to the Revolutionary War and find a patriot or somebody that assisted in getting our independence. So it's a great organization to be from, very, very rewarding. And so we like people to know about our Constitution Week. That's when we signed our Constitution to give us our freedom and our liberties. And it happened on the 17th of September at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So we always like to get a proclamation from the county and the city to kind of bring that to people's notice and to remember what we're all about. It's a great, like I said, it's a great organization.
How many people are here in the organization here in Salem?
We have 80 members in our group alone. There's also another group in Kaiser and Staten and Sublimity. Overall, Oregon has 1,800 members.
Wonderful.
Plus, so we're a good-sized organization, and we're worldwide, not just our little community, but we're all over. So we do a lot for our communities.
And so activities that you'll be having for this week, anything particular?
We are going to be walking around the block, around St. Joseph's School with the kids, ringing our bells and waving our flags. We have we'll be setting up a booth at the library, giving out flags and bookmarks and talking about our Constitution and our organization. We have posters hung up we'll be hanging up posters in different businesses all around the city to let people be aware, and in schools. And we go to the schools and also talk to the kids about how important our Constitution and our heritage is.
Now, we have a display case right behind my back here that's always empty, just to give
It's
you an idea.
always empty.
Always empty,
Well, we'll have to do something about that.
for example. All right, good.
Okay?
All right, anything else you'd like to ask or know?
It's not always empty, most of the time.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, wish we would have had a little bit more time to prepare for this, because generally we bring some quotes or
Presentation.
Constitution
That's
books and
quite
do a
all
little
right,
bit,
yes.
But I just wanted to affirm we do this every year. It is so important for us to acknowledge the founding of our great nation, this document
so
that is
true.
just the hallmark of
Who we are.
all over the world of government of the people, by the people, for the people. So
exactly
it's a
right.
wonderful way for us to bring it to our remembrance every year, and we really appreciate you coming forward. I had the chance, was it 2 years ago that you celebrated your 100th?
125th? Yes. We're
125th,
down
right, and I-
127 years old. We were formed in 1915 here in Salem, so.
Right, and that was such a great ceremony. I remember there were little cookies that had
Right.
Daughters of the American Revolution on it, and you had soldiers there, and it was
Yes,
quite, it
it's
was quite the celebration.
It was. It's a big, there's not many organizations that can say they were here since, and still operating.
Right, and the attendance was huge, so I mean, they have a very robust organization.
Yes, we
So
do.
Congratulations
Thank you.
on all that you do, and thank you for being persistent in getting this to us.
Well, we'd like to let everybody know.
All
So I
right.
think it's my turn to make
It
the
is.
motion too. So, Mr. Chair, I would move that the board approve this proclamation, which is in the matter of observing September 17th through 23rd, 2017 as Constitution Week in Marion County.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it's moved and seconded to approve a proclamation observing September 17th to 23rd as Constitution Week. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, the motion's passed, and now let's read that proclamation. Commissioner Cameron, would you begin?
Sure. Before the Board of Commissioners for Marion County, Oregon, in the matter of observing September 17th through the 23rd, 2017 as Constitution Week in Marion County. proclamation. This matter came before Marion County Board of Commissioners at its regularly scheduled meeting on Wednesday, September 6, 2017. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to the rule by law.
And whereas we celebrate our heritage as a country bound together by fidelity to a set of ideas and a system of governance first laid out in America's Constitution, the product of fierce debate and enduring compromise, our nation's Constitution has guided our progress from 13 to 50 United States that stretch from sea to shining sea. And whereas September 17th, 2017 marks the 229th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and
Whereas this week we reflect on the basic rights and responsibilities of citizenship, the founding documents from which they were drawn, and the extraordinary legacy of progress they have enabled. Let us forever uphold the ideals the framers enshrined in our Constitution, and let us never cease in our pursuit of the more perfect union they imagined so many years ago. And now, therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in us as Commissioners for Marion County, we do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th to 23rd as Constitution Week. So again, thank you, Louise.
Thank you.
Marty. And the signed version will be available eventually. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
And our next item, first action item on our original agenda is consider an approval of an order of a conditional use case CUK 17012 Greenwood, clerk's file 5729. Joe Fenimore, and we have a presentation. Go ahead. No.
Presentation
Oh,
is
that's the
for
next one.
the next item, yes.
All right, fine.
Morning, Commissioners. For the record, Joe Fenimore. This item before you today is a conditional use to change the occupant of a temporary dwelling approved by a previous conditional use. The property contains 54 acres, is zoned EFU, and is located on Sandy M Loop Southeast. The hearings officer conducted a public hearing on May 3rd, 2017, and on June 27th, issued a decision denying the request. That decision was appealed to the Board of Commissioners. The board accepted that appeal, and on August 23rd, held a public hearing. After considering all the information in the record and testimony given at the hearing, the board reversed the hearings officer's decision and granted the conditional use subject to meeting conditions. The conditions require the hardship to be renewed on a yearly basis, and also advises the applicant that the removal agreement filed in the original case is still in effect, and that once a hardship no longer exists, the dwelling must be removed within 90 days. To complete the process, a final order signed by the board is needed. The board has the options of approving the order as written, directing staff to make changes to the order, or take no action at this time. Staff recommends the order be approved as written, and I'll be happy to try and answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Joe. Are there questions or comments? Do you want to go over what, we've had this and why we came up with these conclusions, or just do it?
no, I took the order home last night and read through it, and I think it accurately reflects the discussion of the board in our hearing. I'm really appreciative that we were able to find a solution that worked for these residents and that documents the findings of the board, that all of the conditions were met under our land use laws, so again, Marion County codes and all the other things that go into that. So I think I'm ready to approve the order.
All right, Mr. Cameron?
Sure. Mr. Chair, I guess it is my motion, right? Consider an order, I'd like to approve an order, that we approve an order approving conditional use CU case number 117-012 Greenwood, clerk's file number 5729.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it's been moved second. One comment, it was case 17, just to keep you perfect. And I have nothing else to add. So is there anything else anybody'd like to say?
Didn't I say case number 17? Yeah.
He said 117, but let's not be quibbling.
I'm not perfect, that's for sure.
All right, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay,
Thank
that
you.
motion passes, and thank you for all your work, Joe, and making it work for people pleases me a lot. Next, and apparently final item is under the sheriff's office. We consider approval of an order that accelerates a tax foreclosure redemption period for property located at 795 Lancaster Drive Southeast. Scott Norris and Laura Picaric are here. Whoever would like to begin, do.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Laura Picaric. I'm with the Marion County Sheriff's Office. I'm a code enforcement officer here for Marion County. This morning, we're here to request the expedition of the tax foreclosure at 795 Lancaster Drive Southeast. This property is located on Lancaster Drive Southeast inside Marion County and sits approximately right at the very end of where McClay Road ends on Lancaster Drive. So this is kind of gives you a little bit of history here of our enforcement cases. We've had several enforcement cases over the years. Some of the back enforcement cases, this goes back into 2011, 2012, but those aren't on our electronic files, and I don't have those any longer, but most of them were for solid waste, overgrown vegetation. Later on in the years became problems with vagrants on the property. So they're leaving solid waste and also fires on the property. We'll go through that. So our concerns with this property is that the property has been abandoned. The property owner, Norma Radke, died in 2012. She left this property to her 2 adult sons who were living on the property at the time. Although they already had enforcement contact and they had issues ongoing on the property for solid waste. I believe it was in 2013, there was a fire in the property in the kitchen that destroyed the kitchen area and back of the family room area. Making the house uninhabitable. At that time, we tried to work with the 2 brothers who were still living on the property and really got nowhere. We finally got a hold of some information regarding the small estate and got a hold of the executor of the will, which was a grandson, and he was instrumental in getting the 2 brothers evicted off of the property. We got the property secured, and then at that point in time, I believe it was 2014, actually, it's 2015, the bank, there was a loan on the property, and the bank took over. They started a foreclosure process, and during the time when they're doing a foreclosure process, some banks will hire servicing companies to come out and do cleanups on the property. To do, they'll clean the house or clean the property and then secure the house. And that did happen during that time. We still had problems because the property was vacant with vagrants who broke into the property and left solid waste on the property. We would have to contact the servicing company and they would come back out to the property, do the cleaning. And but in 2016, to the end of 2015, beginning of 2016, the 5 brothers servicing company no longer worked for the bank. The bank had said, we're discontinuing this contract with you, and they no longer seemed to pursue the foreclosure on the property, and that ended. And then after that, the property just became vacant, and it was just completely open to vagrants. Sometime in 2016, we received a phone call, code enforcement received a phone call from the fire department letting us know that a second fire had taken place on the property, which basically destroyed the garage, the family room and the kitchen and more of the kitchen area, making the property a dangerous and hazardous building. We posted the building as dangerous and hazardous in 2016, and it's been posted that way ever since. However, because we don't own the property, trying to get on the property to secure it, plus trying to secure it is a very difficult situation. That means probably in this case, because the house is so open, that you'd have to fence it. You wouldn't be able to just board up areas, because the whole garage, the front garage door is completely gone, and it's totally traversable into the rest of the house. This property sits on Lancaster, which is a mixed-use area. It's got a lot of activities, a lot of people going back and forth, and it's being used as housing. So this kind of gives you an idea, these photographs give you an idea of what the current conditions are of the property. That tree this is older, so the tree has been taken care of. We got Public Works out there, and they did remove that tree. It was a hazard going on to Lancaster, and that was something that did happen this year. So this gives you an idea of the garage area and how open that is, and how that opens up to the rest of the property. This is coming from the side. Those areas in front of the house are solid waste. There's mattresses out there. Some of that was taken out because of the fire, and the fire department brought those outside in when they were fighting the fire. You can see in this back area, those plywood, the plywood up against that sliding glass door, what's left of it, that was the bank's servicing companies. That was before the second fire. They had tried to secure the property by boarding up the windows, because all the windows are broken and the doors were broken out. This is a back bedroom area. It's one of the few places in the house where it's still somewhat intact. You can see that is a gentleman who is sleeping. That's 2017, way after I posted the building as a dangerous and hazardous building. You had a gentleman taking a nap in there. So that's another one of our concerns, is because we know this is being used by vagrants. I mean, that's a danger to them too. This house could fall down right on top of them. This is more pictures of the solid waste issues that are ongoing on the property. Kind of gives you an idea of how dilapidated that roof line is, and even where it's hasn't been burned, it's still in a really difficult situation, and not all. This just goes to show more the fact that all the windows are broken out of the house, every single one of them. I don't think there's one window that's still intact in this household. This is looking from the garage into the household. Just more of the front yard. So that's it. It's been an ongoing issue for a long time, and we're really looking forward to getting this taken care of and getting the property in the hands of somebody else who's willing to do something with it, demolish the house and move on, and either put a new house in or change the property to. I think the property is commercial. I can't remember, and I don't think I put it on here. But it could be used for a lot of different uses, and right now it's just been left to waste, and the bank hasn't seemed to take any interest in making any changes. I don't believe that they got back to us with any. They were here for the hearing with the hearings officer, but we haven't heard from them since then. So we'd just like to get this thing taken care of for the people who out there who have a lot of concerns about it.
So I'll go first, but Scotty, do you have something you wanted to say first?
I was just going to add, for the record, my name's Scott Norris with Office of Legal Counsel. This property is subject to the 2015 tax foreclosure judgment. By state law, there's a 2-year redemption period between the time that the county takes the judgment and the time that the county can take the deed to the property. That is due to expire currently. That's due to expire November 30th of 2017. With this order, the redemption period will expire 30 days from the date of the order, so approximately the first week of October, which would move up the date at which the county could take the deed to the property by approximately 2 months.
All right, my questions are, so what really happens? So can we take it over, we clean it up, contract to clean it up, add it to a lien? How does it get, the first thing is to get it secured and safe, I think. So do we do that? Or do we just try to get it sold and somebody else do it? In the meantime, it's sitting there as is.
The county can. That ultimately becomes, once the county takes the deed, the finance department has responsibility for management of the property and ultimately sale of the property. The property can be auctioned either before or after cleanup, and the extent and of cleanup would be a choice of the county.
If we did, we can recover and add it to sale price?
Yes, that would be the choice. That would be another choice
In the future.
the county could. Expenses for cleanup and management of properties generally comes out of the tax title fund for tax foreclosed properties.
Okay.
Well, those are choices we make after
In
we
the future,
do
yes,
this
but I'd just like to
action,
move it
right?
along.
Right.
Right. So we have heard a great deal about this property, particularly from the East Salem, it's ESSA, right?
ESNA?
No, it's not ESNA, it's
ESNA.
East Salem Service District.
Oh, service district.
Right.
Right.
So, and I think they were instrumental in getting us aware of the tree, and thanks to some really good work from Public Works and Legal Counsel, we were able to get that out of there, but this is probably long overdue, so certainly I'm in favor of moving forward.
Just
Go
a
ahead.
couple questions, Mr. Chair. if I may.
Sure.
So, just to be clear, the bank has not responded or hasn't said anything since our last meeting. So if we take this action, they're done?
Well,
Or do
by
they-
this order, it shortens the redemption period to 30 days. The bank could still redeem the property during that 30-day
But-
period.
Follow up. So by paying all the back taxes, but then that still doesn't get us the property cleaned up, correct?
That would be correct. If the bank redeemed, then it would take the property out of the tax foreclosure process. Then it would be up to the bank to take responsibility for the property.
Then we go to code enforcement again, and we have citations or whatever to get the property cleaned up. That process starts over or goes, okay.
Correct.
So just one last, so what's the back taxes that they would have to come up with to take this property back?
I don't know what that number would be right now.
Do we know approximately? Is it 20,000? Is it?
Approximately 17,000 sticks in my head.
Okay.
But I don't know what that number is for sure.
Okay.
I had one other thought then, Scott, do we notify the bank that this has been done?
I will probably send a notice that the bank has counsel, and I have been in communication
All right.
with counsel. A while back, counsel had asked for the payout amount, and I had sent that to the bank. I haven't heard anything since then, but I intend to send a copy of this order to the bank's counsel so that they're aware.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so doesn't the bank have a lien on the property? Wouldn't we have to notify any lien holders that this process is being moved up?
At this point, no. Since they appeared and have been involved in the process, I would let them know, and they were notified of the hearing process by statute and by ordinance.
Okay.
This first went to a hearing before the hearings officer, and as a lien holder, they were entitled to notice, received notice, and actually appeared at the hearing.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, John.
the board really has a couple options here. One is that you could fence it off, and then we've got an auction coming up soon. We could auction the property that way. Or we could clean it up. That would be very expensive. And hopefully we could get the money back from that when we sell it. That other option is to fence it off, keep people out, and then sell it as is in an auction.
I don't think a fence would keep people out. I'm sorry.
Well,
And this is a decision we'll make sometime in the
Down
near
the road.
future, but,
We don't have to make that decision today, right?
no, you
Right.
don't. You're just gonna take
Right.
it.
I'm sorry, this off the subject, but I'd rather see it get cleaned up and sold. But anyway, thank you for that information. Commissioner, make a motion.
Yep. So, Mr. Chair, I would move approval of the order accelerating the tax foreclosure redemption period for the property located at 795 Lancaster Drive Southeast in Salem.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it's moved and seconded to approve the order that accelerates the tax foreclosure to redemption period at 795 Lancaster Drive. Any further discussion? I don't hear any, so all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, the motion passes, so let's hope this speeds it up.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioners.
That's our last action item. Ken Hetzel, you came in late this morning. Did you want to talk to us or anything? Would you come up and tell us about your event again and how it's going? And while I get ready to read the places we'll be together. Yes, if you would. Because I want to know if you got the flowers lined up or not.
Well, I'm working on that.
You are?
Yeah, HP is.
I was willing to be.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you can donate some, but we need 50 dozen, so,
I thought I could make 12. Should I?
yeah,
I was
yeah,
thinking,
absolutely.
when I walked through the flower display at the fair, I was thinking, wow, there's all these flowers at the fair. What are they going to do with them?
Well, they got the Wednesday market going on out here today, too, so.
All right, let's talk. Go ahead.
Good
Ken.
morning. For the record, my name is Kenneth Hetzel, and I live at 745 Harris Street Southeast in Salem, Marion County, Oregon. And we're talking about Hands Across the Bridge as a celebration of recovery, which is this Friday, September the 8th, from 2 to 7 in the afternoon at Marion Square Park. And our final event is when we walk up over the bridge over the Willamette and take a flower in remembrance of somebody we've lost. And we've been having trouble finding 50 dozen. We got 8 dozen from Trader Joe's and 8 dozen from somebody else. So we have 16 dozen committed, which leaves 34 dozen. My plan is I'm going to Safeway after I leave here and talk to them. I'm a master gardener wannabe, so I've talked to the master gardeners about cutting some flowers at their exhibit garden over on Center Street. And we've talked to them and their contact at the Oregon Garden. Supposedly they've got a bunch of zinnias or something in a big field or something, and we're trying to contact the man in charge there to see if we can go harvest some, Thursday afternoon or early Friday morning, because we don't have any place to keep them that's cool to, keep them in good condition. So thank you for your interest. And then the final thing is, if we need some extra, I live next to Safeway down on South Commercial, and every Friday they get a new batch in, so they mark down 20 or 30 dozen and, have them for sale in the store, and I can go in and buy them at that price, which is, $4 or $5 a dozen. And I'd rather do that than spending, $12 or $20 a bouquet for
Right,
flowers.
but I think they're not that expensive at the Wednesday market, so we should probably
Well,
pick some up.
$10 for a flower arrangement, I don't know how much they are. I've tried to talk to the vendors at the Wednesday market, and most of them don't speak Southern English. So I have a communication problem, and, to tell them I need them on this day here, and
Well, we can keep them here in the
Yeah.
refrigerator there, so let's talk offline, all right?
Okay,
Because
yeah.
I've actually assigned HP yesterday
Yeah.
to dig up the flowers. I'd rather not wait until
Yeah.
Friday if we could, so then
I
we know
understand.
that we've got them.
So Commissioner, if you can get them to them, I'll
Right.
give you a dozen little
So,
bouquets.
Yep.
so I'd like to
Is there
talk
any of these
about this house. Can I,
Huh?
can I talk
I think
about
I
this
got that many
derelict
left.
house for a minute?
Quickly,
Quickly, that Salem had a house on 12th Street that vagrants were using, and they declared it a hazard and tore it down. Spent $30,000, y'all estimate, to tear it down, and now it's a vacant lot. We have to house the homeless. You know, they're our brothers and sisters. They're just less economically disadvantaged than we are. We have to learn what they want and need. They don't want drug treatment and dry out to be sober. You know, let them have their medicine, their beer a day or their 6-pack a day, and give them a place to live, whether it's that house or not. I'll be glad to take my friends and go over and clean that house up. I'll go over and run a sober house there. I'll go to the bank and ask them if I can use that house. You know, but to declare it a hazard and it's caught on fire and go tear it down is totally ridiculous, in my humble opinion.
All right, I hear you, Ken.
Well, thank you.
I hear you, but on this particular one,
Yeah.
there's liabilities when somebody gets hurt, and you can only get hurt there.
I
That's no
understand.
place for people to be.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Kevin.
gentleman from the Farm Bureau, from Marion County Farm Bureau is watching and just texted me and says she could do 5 to 6 dozen. Just let her know who to pay.
excellent, because I emailed Farm Bureau and talked to John Zelinski, and he actually gave us a couple of leads also.
I think we'll take care of you, Ken.
Yeah,
So-
so I think we're gonna be good, so.
So, since she's watching, who would I tell her to just get in touch with?
Get Hitesh.
Hitesh in our
Right,
office.
Or me, and I can forward it to
Or
Hitesh.
Commissioner
right, yeah,
Carlson, but anybody else who's watching wants to do help with flowers,
Right. We've got,
contact our
we
office.
figure out we have at least 3, 4, or 5 refrigerators in Courthouse Square, so we can stuff some flowers here and there and keep them cold till Friday, so.
Great. All right, thank you,
It'd be
Ken.
nice to find a restaurant that has some room. Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Good. We can accomplish that much. I didn't introduce our special counsel this morning, chief litigator, in case, I don't know, what are you trying to say? Why are you here, Ken? Ken Montoya?
Just filling in to kind of learn the ropes.
And we never even put a problem to you until now.
He looked over the
Oh, wait.
proclamation, he
You got a
gave it
little
a seal of
nervous?
approval.
All right.
So we're all good, yeah, so we
All
can
right,
feel
then let's,
confident that what we passed.
let's wrap this up on a
passed
good note.
muster.
The last thing to do is read the place we'll be together in this coming week. Noon to 1 o'clock, a monthly meeting, Woodburn Marion County meeting at Luis's Taqueria, 523 Front Street in Woodburn. Tomorrow, a department head and elected officials meeting in the Commissioners Boardroom on the 5th floor in this building at 555 Court Street in Salem. Monday, the 11th, September 11th, of course, 9:45 to 11:30, Association of Oregon Counties Board and Legislative Committee meetings at the Clackamas County Development Services Building, first floor auditorium, 150 Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City. The 12th, Tuesday, State and Marion County meeting at the Covered Bridge Cafe, 510 North 3rd in State, and that's at 7:30. We come back to Salem for calendar review at 9 o'clock in the Silverton Conference Room here at 555 Court Street. That's followed at 9:30 to 11 with a work session for a Health Department report, Silverton Conference Room. And then noon to 1 o'clock, the 2017 Awesome Awards at Salem Convention Center, 200 Commercial Street, Salem. 4 o'clock that afternoon, Tuesday the 12th, Public Safety Coordinating Council, Commissioners Boardroom, 5th floor of this building, 555 Court Street. And then an off-site board session I'm looking forward to. We're going to go to Donald. We'll be at the Donald Fire Hall at 2909 Feller Street in Donald, and that'll be 9 o'clock next Wednesday. So that should be an interesting one. All right, anything else this morning? Nothing, a lot of wildfires. I should
Well,
just a
just
little
wanted to
comment.
say, the one on the Hands Across the Bridge.
All right.
So our focus at our annual Giving People a Second Chance breakfast this year, which is on October 27th, and the invitation just went out yesterday, is Hope Through Recovery. And so we're focusing on mental illness, mental health. And we're interviewing Jill Shire. We have already interviewed her. She has told her story, and we have a whole lot of other people that are telling the story of services that are available, this great array of services that we've created in Marion County, talking about the needs of people who experience mental illness. And so as I was over at Project Able, talking to the people over there and trying to arrange to film a support group, which we were able to do, and saw the flyer for Hands Across the Bridge and saw that it was this Friday. And I've actually been to Hands Across the Bridge a couple of years ago. I went with Jill and wandered around the booths. I didn't actually go on the bridge. And I had this thought about, wouldn't it be fantastic to have an aerial shot of all of these people standing across the bridge for the video that we had? So it would be like the final shot, you know, hope through recovery and the sky and flowers, and it would just be so beautiful. So we added on to our contract with Allied Video to have a drone at this event that we're going to have the Rock is actually putting together on Friday. So we have a vested interest in making sure all the flowers are there, not only for the beauty of the event, but also for the fact that we're going to film it for posterity, and we want to make sure that everything goes off without a hitch. So I've talked to the drone people. They're going to be on call, right? What I learned also is that it's not exactly at 5 o'clock. People kind of start to think about it at 5 o'clock, and then they announce it maybe at 5:15, and then everybody gets across the bridge. So we've got this
Well, that's
window,
your
right?
specialty, organizing people. You
Yeah,
can
I know.
get it going.
I know who the DJ is.
All
I've
right.
talked to him. He's going to tell me when they make the announcement. And then I've got the cell phone number of the drone guy, and we're going to exchange information. So we kind of got all that worked out. But it's going to be, I hope, a really great visual of people who have worked together and have gone through recovery and are making positive strides in their lives. And I think really the message of our breakfast, Patricia Godsey was a person that was interviewed. She works for the Mid-Valley Behavioral Care Network, and I asked her to comment on whether she thought recovery was possible. And she said, recovery is not only possible, recovery is probable. And so I thought that is a really good motto or mantra for us to be using and when we talk about the topic as well.
Great. Commissioner? Anything?
I'm
Last
just trying to
words?
think of, let's see, we're going to have some lunch today, going to Woodburn. I'm just trying to think. Last week was kind of a interesting week, short week, or this week's short week, I guess. The fires, you know, communicating with other commissioners, I'm sure you're in the loop, you know.
Yeah, that's the most concerned I am everywhere.
Interesting, you know, in fact, Representative Johnson up in Hood River was saying how bad it was up there, and I don't know that everybody realizes how bad it is everywhere. It's, you know, Klamath, here. Where did I see yesterday in California, people were breathing smoke?
Brookings is certainly threatened, and when you look at Cascade Locks with the fire coming down the hill, that's got to be getting close. I haven't heard if it's gotten into town yet.
And Mr. Chair, maybe.
Our own Brightonbush and who knows from where, so if the soonest it could rain, the better. But I think people, well, we've had crews, Marion County crews, I know they're at Cascade Locks, Chief Iverson's there. I don't see any end in sight. People are getting
Brightonbush-
tired. Well,
Brightonbush is under,
watching it hourly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I posted a map that Rich Walsh had posted on Facebook last night on my Commissioner Janet Carlson page that shows an aerial view, satellite view of the wildfires, and they have listed the names of the fires, and it's literally just a chain of smoke all the way up the Cascades from southern Oregon up to the gorge. It is just horrendous.
Sid Lake and then others, Commissioner from Lane County is trying to make a public discussion of the policies that have help lead to these, and I hope that that gets some traction.
Well, did you see Sherry Springer's
I did, yes, today in the paper.
editorial? Yeah, I thought it was right on
I
point.
didn't see it. Was it in the Statesman today?
Yes.
I'll read it.
Yeah, forest management, and this is the result of our lack of that.
So I'm not going to read this gentleman's name. He may be watching today, but he says that he watches, and he's retired from Oregon Department of Forestry. And he had sent this, and he says, I'm not an expert, so don't take my facts as, science. But he says, I have some ideas because I worked in forestry department. I don't know if you want me to read this, but
Sure.
I think it's really interesting. I want to share some armchair observations based on my 37 years in the forestry business in the Northwest, mostly in Oregon. I was noodling some figures last night relating to carbon release from wildfires. I came up with roughly 3.6 million metric tons released from Oregon wildfires so far this year. Please do not quote me on this figure. I'm not an expert, so we'll qualify that. I am simply applying some values and conversion factors that are widely available. I believe there is disagreement in the academic community regarding the reliability of these types of projections and competition between different models. The point is that wood sequesters carbon and burning wood releases carbon. Burning a very large amount of wood releases a relatively large amount of carbon. Common sense to all of us, right? It has been reported that 500 square miles of forest have burned to date in Oregon. Of course, this was 2 days ago. The volume of wood destroyed, damaged in these fires is staggering. 500 square miles burned at 640 acres per square mile is 320,000 acres. Assuming a very low average timber volume of 15 MBF, I think that's million board feet per acre, that's a low number he's saying, or average number, allows for a mix of brush and grassland and well-stocked forest at 320,000 acres equals 4,800,000 board feet at 5 million board feet per truckload equals 960,000 truckloads of logs. Assuming the average size house requires about 16 million board feet, we have lost the opportunity to use this wood and sequester carbon in about 300,000 homes. Instead of using wood to create dwellings for humanity and supporting rural economies, our federal forests are allowed to burn and foul the air shed for all inhabitants. Federal forest policy needs to be changed and fast. The let it burn policy might be okay for fires that start in the late fall or remote areas, but not for fires that start in June, July, August, and September. All fires start small, and most can be kept relatively small by rapid initial response. Rapid ODF initial response to fire starts on private and state forest has been quite effective. They have consistently been able to stop new fires starts to 10 acres or less by 90 to 95% of the time. Of the 11 large fires, 10,000 acres or more, burning in Oregon, 10 are burning totally or primarily on federal forest. In my experience working on Forest Service managed fires over the years, they have the capacity to stop fires when they are small. It all goes back to federal policy. I received a voicemail the first day, and I'm gonna use this fire, the Whitewater fire. I received a voicemail the first day saying that the fire went from a half acre to 50 acres. We have 2 helicopters on it and we're gonna be okay. How many acres is that fire now?
Yeah.
And they could have put that fire out.
Well, that's what I remember. They told us they had to maintain their wilderness values. They've done that.
Oh, we got charred wilderness.
The one thing
to
he
plan.
leaves out, when you're talking about the number of homes to be built and whatever, while we're locked up Oregon's forest, we buy our forest products from Canada and Brazil. And certainly in Brazil, if you're worried about the environmental consequences, they don't follow the rules we do. So, it's nonsense.
Yeah, I thought that was, again, he's qualifying that he's not an
Right.
expert, but I mean, if it's 200,000 homes
One more thing
versus
you make me
300,000.
think of, remember this committee I was on that wants to I'm fighting it, but wants to get us out of our cars by making draconian measures and costs. They save about I think it's 250,000 tons, gaseous tons of carbon in the air by their policies, they think. Of course, they can't relate that to lowering temperature at all, but how does that compare against the 5 million tons or whatever anyway. A lot of things don't make sense in this world. They certainly don't make sense to me, and with that, anything else this morning?
I just want to say my dad worked for the Oregon State Forestry and for the U.S. Forest Service, and so my childhood was spent with him going out fighting fires, but they were never on the scale of this
No.
in Southern Oregon.
All right, so it'll be an interesting week. Hope for rain. Hope everybody that is involved is safe and properties are
Rain without
protected.
lightning.
Rain without lightning, is that possible?
Yeah, you know, they had a record year of water up at Detroit, and the smoke's
I-
killed
I-
their business. Yeah, right.
All right, with that, let's call this meeting adjourned.